All right, Senator, go ahead and you can gavel in.
Well, thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the first hearing for the Jobs and Economic Growth Committee in the Senate. I would like to call this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. I wanted to note that this committee hearing will be conducted remotely pursuant to temporary Senate Rule 12.1B. If you have any questions, please use the raised hand function on your Zoom, and either I or your staff will call. Staff will notify me, or if I see it, I'll call on you for your questions. We do have a quorum in place. Before we get into the business of the day, I thought it'd be nice if we just introduced ourselves. I'll start. My name is Eric Pratt. I am from Senate District 55, which is Scott County. I have the pleasure of representing the communities of Shakopee, Prior Lake, Jordan, and 6 townships. And I'm starting my 3rd term in the Senate. Senator Champion, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, I'm looking forward to working with you and the committee this session, just so that folks know that I am the DFL lead for this committee, and I'm proud to be in that position again. I represent Senate District 59, which is comprised of North Minneapolis, the North Loop, over half of downtown Minneapolis, Bryn Mawr, and Elliott Park. A great district. I enjoy serving Senate District 59, and I am excited to be here. So thank you so very much for the opportunity to introduce myself.
Thank you, Senator Champion. Next, we'll just go back and forth. Senator Housley, would you like to go next?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I'm Senator Karen Housley. I represent Stillwater, the surrounding St. Croix Valley, and Forest Lake. I'm excited to be back on the Jobs Committee. I own a real estate business back in Stillwater. And a lot of these issues that come before us in jobs really interest me. I will be sad to not be sitting next to Senator Champion while we do this remotely, because I thoroughly enjoyed what he would have to say in every committee meeting. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Herr, you're new to the committee. We're just doing quick introductions, so please go ahead. Senator Herr, you're on mute.
Thank you, and it's an honor to serve in this committee with all of you senators, and Senator Pratt and our lead member, Senator Bobby Joe Champion, and I represent the east side St. Paul. My boundary starts from Payne Avenue going eastward all the way to McKnight, where the 3M's building is, and that's Senator Susan Kent district, and north of me is Laubentur, Senator Chuck Wigger. And so, the demographic of Frogtown, even though I represent the eastern part of St. Paul, the demographic of West Side and Frogtown are very, very similar to my district as well. And so when we return back to the old normal or the new normal that's better for people to come together, I'd like to encourage folks to come visit the district as the East Street of my district, which is Payne Avenue. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Draheim.
Thank you, Chair Pratt. Senator Rich Draheim. I represent District 20, which includes most of Stewart County, part of Scott, and part of Rice counties. I'm a small business owner. I own a couple businesses, owned a few more over the years, and I really enjoyed serving on this committee over the last 4 years and looking forward for the next 2. So thank you.
Thank you. Senator Putnam, welcome to the committee. You're on mute, Senator Putnam.
How is it the rookie makes the rookie mistake? That's not fair. I am Eric Putnam. I'm new to this committee. I'm also new to the Senate. I represent District 14, which is St. Cloud, Haven-Minden Township, St. Augusta. And I'm excited to be on this committee for a number of reasons, not the least of which is you see, I think, both the greatest potential in economic growth and some of the greatest challenges in St. Cloud. we're rural, we're urban, we've got everything. And so we have a mix of true diversity in lots of different ways. And so I'm excited to be here to learn more about economic development, but also to advocate for St. Cloud and all that it entails. So thanks very much.
Thank you. And Senator Rarick. Senator Rarick is chairing the Labor Committee here in the Senate, so we'll be working very close with his committee. Senator Rarick, I know you had your first meeting today. Maybe you can just introduce yourself and maybe just a brief word or two about your committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and looking forward to working with you pretty closely with our two committees. I serve District 11, which is Pine County, Carlton County, eastern half of Kanabec County, and just a little bit of St. Louis County, just north of Cloquet. My committee will be doing a lot of stuff with Department of Labor and Industry, and then any of that has financial pieces will also be coming to this committee. So looking forward to that, and especially I know serving on the Unemployment Insurance Advisory Committee, I know we'll be dealing with a lot of that here, and looking forward to a lot of those discussions and how we're going to move forward after what we've been through the last 9 months and the stresses we've put on that program.
Thank you. Next, we have Andy Eilers. Andy is our committee administrator. Andy, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Chair Pratt, members, Andy Eilers. I'm the committee administrator for this committee, as well as Senator Rarick's Labor Committee. This will be my 5th year working on this jurisdiction, and looking forward to working with all of you and having a productive year.
And our committee legislative assistant is Brandon Strickland. Brandon, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Brandon Strickland. I work for Senator Eric Pratt, and this will be my 2nd year for committee legislative assisting for the Jobs Committee. So thank you.
Next, we have our nonpartisan staff. Why don't we start with our counsel, Ms. Doyle Fontaine.
Hello, Chair and Committee. My name is Carolyn Doyle Fontaine. I am Senate counsel for this committee, also the Labor and Industry Committee that Senator Pratt mentioned that Senator Rarick will be chairing, and as well as the Energy Committee. This is my 14th session, and I've been covering economic development, economic growth for that whole time. And I look forward to working with all of you on whatever comes before the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Mum, our financial analyst.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Casey Mum. I'm the fiscal analyst for the committee. I also staff the Energy Committee with Carlin, and I also staff the Commerce Committee and the Capital Investment Committee. This will be my 7th session.
Okay. We also have our partisan staff. We have John Beshe. Mr. Beshe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is John Beshe. I am Republican Research. I've been at the Senate for about 5 years. It's my 3rd session covering the Jobs Committee. In addition, I also covered Senator Rarick's new committee and the full Finance Committee.
And we have Mr. Janisich. Welcome back.
Hi, Senator. My name is Craig Janisich. I work in Senate TFL Research. I've been working for the legislature for 10 years and 8 years in research. I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Well, welcome back. And the first order, I thought we'd have Ms. Doyle Fontaine give a brief overview of the committee jurisdiction. And I don't think everything's quite finalized yet, but you have a pretty good sense of what we're doing, and maybe we can lay out the scope of our purview here.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead with that list if you want me to.
Please.
Okay. So there's a document that is put together by the Senate Council Research and Fiscal Analysis Office in conjunction with the majority and minority leaders and their staff, and based on the committee structure. And this year, the Labor and Industry was carved out for a new committee that Senator Rarick will be chairing. So I've still been working on this list a little bit today to make sure we have the correct things on this list. It has not been finalized yet, so you don't have a document in front of you. But once it is finalized, it will be sent to the staff and members, and then it will be posted for everyone to see. And this is basically how it's determined what bills will go to which committees. So that is how it's helpful for us, as well as so that the committee members know what you'll be seeing in front of the committee. The state agencies that are under the jurisdiction of this committee are the Department of Employment and Economic Development and the Public Facilities Authority, also the Bureau of Mediation Services. Then there are a number of boards that are under the purview, including the Access Review, no, not the Access Review Board, the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board, Job Skills Partnership Board. There are also some, the Rehabilitation Council for the Blind, the State Rehabilitation Council, Workforce Development Council, and then some other smaller, maybe less frequently seen organizations, Enterprise Minnesota, and then the Destination Medical Center also falls underneath this jurisdiction. As far as confirmations go, before this committee, the Commissioner of Employment and Economic Development would be one, the Commissioner of Mediation Services, and then the Destination Medical Center, which has 4 members. I think all of those have been done, but I'm not 100% sure. The other laws that fall underneath the jurisdiction of this committee would include the allocating of bond authority, except for the housing bond allocating authority, enterprise zones, the economic development authorities, port authorities, tax exempt financing, and as well as unemployment insurance is a major topic, and also workforce development. So those are a couple of major areas. I think that covers it if anyone has any questions about the things I went over. But that is basically the list. And like I said, it's still being finalized. So you will see shortly that list coming your way.
So just a change from last year, the Iron Range, or the IRRR, has been moved over to Senator Rarick's Mining Committee, and the Department of Labor will be under the jurisdiction of Senator Rarick. So those are the major changes from last year. Thank you, Ms. Doyle-Fontaine. Appreciate that. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay, seeing none. We have Commissioner Grove with an overview of his department. Welcome back to the committee, Commissioner. Please introduce yourself for the record and feel free to begin when you're ready.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Steve Grove. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Employment and Economic Development, and I'm joined today by my colleagues at the department, Deputy Commissioner of Workforce Development, Hamza Warfa, the Deputy Commissioner of Economic Development, Kevin McKinnon, the Deputy Commissioner of Workforce Services, Blake Chafee, and our Assistant Commissioner for Operations, Evan Rowe. And before we walk into looking at an overview of our department, I just wanted to begin today's conversation with a note of gratitude. We have really enjoyed working with every member of this committee, and of course, looking forward to working with Senator Putnam now that he's here as well. Over the past year on some really unprecedented challenges. And to a person, this committee has brought forth a whole host of really critical issues for our department to examine, whether it's a specific unemployment insurance claimant in your district who needs extra help, or a small business who needs to navigate the small business programs that we've put forward. There are a whole host of issues that your leadership has made possible throughout the last year. And I think, as you look at last December and the aid package that we came together to produce for small businesses and for unemployed workers in the state, it's just a good example of the fact that in our state, we can work together. And at a time when division is on everyone's mind, given not only the climate of the last year with this pandemic, but of course the events of the last week, I take some solace in knowing that we as a department and as a state, and certainly as a committee, will have a good relationship in the coming months. And we come to this with that spirit of collaboration and hopefulness, and really looking forward to working with all of you. I want to in particular just thank Chair Pratt and Senator Champion, for whom I'm essentially on speed dial with and just have really enjoyed getting to work with, and will say that both of them have made our department better, and at a personal level have made me a better commissioner. So thank you for that. And thank you for the chance to talk today. We are going to take some time to walk through an overview of what the Department of Employment and Economic Development does. And then we'll also talk specifically about COVID-19 response, as that was a request from the chair, as well as unemployment insurance in particular. And I think we'll be joined by my colleague in government, Commissioner Robert Doty from the Department of Revenue a bit later for some of that as well. So let's dive in. Some of you are very familiar with the work of DEED. Others may be newer to it, but wanted to give an overview of what it is that we do and also how we do what we do. One of the things that we learned coming into this department a couple of years ago in conversation with many of the great leaders and employees of our division in government and with all of you is that DEED needed a refocusing, a recommitment to customer service and to working with stakeholders and legislators and people across our state. And so one of the things that we did really early was just reinvest in a new mission statement that captures what our statutes ask us to do, captures the mission of what our agency is set up to achieve for Minnesotans. And the mission is really simple. It's to empower the growth of the Minnesota economy for everyone. The role that government plays in empowering economy is certainly not central. We are here to help business owners and workers and others in our state grow our state's economy, but we need to empower that growth. We need to do it for everyone in the state. We also took some time as a department to look at the values that guide what it is that we do in our department. And we spent a lot of time just kind of at a bottoms up level asking our department and others outside what we should be focused on from a values perspective. And these are really the core values that we have centered our work around. It's to focus on the customer. It's to communicate early and often, to seek solutions, to create inclusion in everything that we do, to encourage new ideas, and to be gracious. Now, these are, of course, just words on paper, or in this case, words on a slide, but we try to live by these every day. And every month we hold a town hall at our agency. We bring together everyone in the agency and highlight examples of these values being lived out by employees or teams. We have a new annual awards process where doesn't involve money, it just involves recognition, but we highlight teams and individuals that have done, amazing things in the past year centered on these values. Culture is so important because if we get that component of DEED right, then we serve Minnesotans and Minnesota businesses better. So that cultural focus has been a big part of our journey in the last couple of years. And then to just kind of look at how that plays out into what it is that we do, at a glance, DEED is, as the chair mentioned at the top of the committee hearing today, our state's Employment and Economic Development Division, and it encompasses both workforce and economic development. That's somewhat unique. In many states, you have sort of a workforce division and then an economic development division. In Minnesota, they're together. We think that's a real strength because it brings both job seekers and employers under the same umbrella, and it creates a lot of opportunities for synergy, but it is unique. It makes our department somewhat of an outlier compared to how most states look at these topics, and we're really grateful for that. At a basic level, we work to attract and retain and expand businesses and create jobs for all Minnesotans. And when you think about the spectrum of what any business would encounter in a state or in a growth process, everything from the startup phase to expansions to shifts to disaster recovery, it's a whole host of things that our department will cover. We'll get into that in a bit. And on the worker side, we work to connect workers to jobs and prepare individuals for jobs in high demand industries and to help people live independently. And really, we'll look at the whole full spectrum of what a worker could experience in their career journey and provide government supports and acceleration for that journey, in our state. So that's really just the department at a glance. From a kind of organizational structure standpoint, these are the four divisions that our department is organized under: workforce development, workforce services, economic development, and general support services. And that'll be kind of the structure of the presentation we walk you through today in terms of how DEED is put together for Minnesotans. A quick look at our budget. We can always go deeper into this at another time, but wanted to give you just a basic sense for how DEED spends money. Maybe the most important thing to know or to remember is that over half of the money that DEED spends is from the federal government. We do have a general fund allocation, but the federal government is more than half of our budget, and most of that's in the workforce space. This pie chart shows our budget in totality. The four divisions that comprise the biggest part of our budget are employment and training programs, business and community development, vocational rehabilitation services, and our unemployment insurance program, all of which we'll go into more detail in the coming slides. So that's a little bit of the overview of what. As important as the what, though, is the how. How are we making sure DEED delivers for Minnesotans and for our businesses? And one of the things that we have put into play in the last couple of years is a management tool called Objectives and Key Results. Many businesses use this tool across the world, and certainly governments are starting to use it more too. And it's a really simple system that simply sets, aspirational goals that stretch teams to do more. And then underneath them ladders up an evaluation of success based on metrics that are set by each team, quantifiable metrics on which you can give yourself a score every quarter. Did you make progress or not, or how well are you doing compared to that metric that you've set up for your team or for your division? And so we do this every quarter. We track the progress against our quarterly goals. We score ourselves annually. The goal on that kind of scorecard spectrum at the bottom is not to be at 1.0 every time. Otherwise, you chose some easy hurdles. It's not to be at 0 either, obviously. Kind of 0.6 or 0.7 is the sweet spot. But this is something that we use to really help teams set goals that will push themselves around broad themes that are important to our economy and to the agency. On the next slide, you'll see the 3 big goals that are driving DEED this year. Again, rooted in the statutes that you've all written for us, rooted in the programs that we've developed together. One is equity. We've got to radically increase DEED's economic impact for individuals and businesses that face systematic barriers to growth. Economic revitalization, we'll talk a lot about that at these committee hearings moving forward, galvanizing this recovery in a way that advances our state's labor market, our businesses, and our communities for the next chapter of our economy here in Minnesota. And then culture, which I talked about before. We want to build a positive internal culture at DEED that makes it a great place to work. And the reason for that goal is we want to deliver services that are better for Minnesotans across the state. So every team across DEED has a series of metrics-driven goals that ladder up into these 3 broad themes that are how we run the agency on a day-to-day basis. And it's just a good way to keep ourselves focused. I think more broadly, we want to build the most effective agency as possible. And these are just a couple of examples of things that we're doing to achieve that objective. We've started an innovation lab at DEED. This is a chance to use kind of a human-centered design approach to solving problems for which we're kind of vexed about. It could be something as simple as a small customer service process. It could be some internal grants flow issue that we have to tackle. We've begun to bring projects to this innovation lab, and through a partnership with the University of Minnesota and some other state governments who've tried innovation labs, we are learning new ways to kind of create a safe space for experimentation that employees can bring issues to that deliver better services through, again, focusing on our customer and building a design-centered approach to solutions. We'll talk a lot this session about performance metrics. It is critical to making sure that we're successful, not just from the objectives I talked about a moment ago, but for every program that we have, what are the performance metrics that should drive our decision-making around how grants are allocated, how funding is distributed. We have a lot of great work to do here on refreshing our performance metrics of the agency, and we're looking forward to collaborating with you on all of that. That has to drive our decisions. It has to drive funding so that we're getting the most for every single taxpayer dollar that we have. We have reinvented our Office for Economic Opportunity at DEED. One of the things that is really critical is that we have strong outreach pipelines across the state. DEED gives out a lot of money, just to put it bluntly, a lot. And if you're aware of all of our programs, then you kind of know where to look and you know how to apply and you've been there before. But if you haven't heard of them or you're not very close to St. Paul, you might not be aware of the myriad of ways in which we inject taxpayer dollars into our economy to grow it. So that's on us to do outreach to make sure people are aware. And it's not just about having something up on the website or kicking out a tweet. This is our objective and our imperative to get out into communities, into businesses, into communities to let them know what we're doing and to shift our services to meet different audiences. So that's really important. And I think just lastly, and I've really it's been a pleasure to work with Senator Pratt on many of these things. We want to bring some streamlining and kind of business sensibility to some of our processes and make our work faster, more transparent, less bureaucratic. We've done a lot there, and you'll hear in a moment from Deputy Commissioner Hamza Worf about some of the work we've done in our grant space there. Really, we've sped up the way we've gotten grants out the door by about half a year based on just kind of stripping out some of the process that wasn't useful for our clients and made things quicker and more efficient. So those are some examples of how we're building the economy. And, it is a great economy. When you look at the Minnesota economy, we are really blessed. Every state's economic development commissioner wants to say that. We get to say that and have it actually be true. If you start a company in this state, you got a better chance of being around 5 years from now than in any other state in the country. We are a great state to start a company. We are a great state for corporate headquarters. We're first in the nation for Fortune 500 in the metro area and across the state, even when you include the whole state, fourth in the nation. That's a huge strength of our economy. Obviously, as we all know, great state for families, low stress compared to other states, great state for education. We have one of the highest labor force participation rates in the country. This is a hardworking state. People come to work, and we are well above the national average there. And we have a diverse economy. And I mentioned that here because as we're in these moments of economic challenge, having a diverse economy in a recession is so critical to being able to weather these difficult times. So these are some of the things that we're blessed to have a part of our economy. And before I turn it to the team to walk through some of the specifics on our divisions, just want to talk a little bit about the road ahead. We'll have a lot of great conversations on how we want to spend Minnesota taxpayer dollars money, what the budget will look like. But just thematically, these are some of the things that we're thinking a lot about that are somewhat unique to the recovery ahead. One is that we need to start with equity. We know people of color have been disproportionately affected by this pandemic more than any other group. We have to start and end there. We got to safely reopen our economy, keep turning that dial forward to get more and more businesses open and more consumer confidence up as the vaccine continues to be distributed and the numbers go down. Reskilling our workforce is a unique challenge to this recession, just given the very focused nature of the recession on the hospitality industry and on the service industry, and the accelerated trends in automation and digital technology that are really changing what work is today. So we've got to be thinking about reskilling, and we have a whole host of things to discuss there. Creating good jobs, of course, is a part of any recession recovery. We think newer business starts are one of the key priorities there. And then our social safety net, my gosh, if we needed a reminder that programs like UI mattered, we certainly got it this last year. And I think there's a lot more we can do to strengthen that too. So again, thanks for having us. I'm going to turn to my team to go into some of the details of our divisions, and we're really eager to talk further about UI and recovery and take your questions too. And with that, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I'll turn it over to my Deputy Commissioner for Workforce Development, Hamza Warfa.
Thanks, Commissioner. Chair Pratt, members of the committee, thank you for inviting us to provide background about our work. As the commissioner was presenting, I'm really reminded of why I took this job 2 years ago to help, create change, to find ways that we can serve more Minnesotans. And in the past 9 months, under the pandemic, the work has been, more important and elevated more. So grateful for the opportunity to present and introduce the work of DEED with you. And so I first just want to mention that, as the commissioner was talking about equity, we intentionally use the systemic barriers because systemic barrier is really means about, addressing the root causes and the challenges that exist in our system, both for people that have been left out and also for people that geographically might have been left out. So we want to make sure that, we are addressing systemically and providing these services and programs in a holistic manner. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go over the 4 areas under the workforce development system that I oversee. And so the first one is really, overall, I must say, the work of the workforce development system is to ensure that businesses have the talent they need, both locally and also to globally be competitive. And at the same time, have workers that have the skill sets and the meaning of work that they desire. So meeting the needs of both employers and businesses is essential work for this division. So one of the 4 divisions, the biggest division of the 4, I should say, is our employment and training program, which has a significant budget that is not only state funding, but also federal funding. We get about $315 million from the federal government. And the purpose of the employment and training program is to provide essentially unemployed and underemployed residents with services around, career counseling, assessment, job seeker and placement services, education and training, job development activities through our employment and training programs. And in it, I will just highlight a few areas that some of you are very familiar with, but also know that, in the midst of the pandemic have become even more critical. So the first one is the state dislocated worker program, I should say, for displaced workers. we are very fortunate to be the only state in the country that has a state dislocated worker program. So we both utilize the federal dislocated worker program and the state dislocated worker program to ensure that, you know, displaced workers are finding the necessary training. Again, displaced workers, to be precise, that are neither, you know, quit or have been fired. So people that have lost job, you know, their jobs through not fault of their own. So what we do is we provide these individuals get assistance to find new career. So we, you know, jointly with the federal government and the state, laid off workers get multiple, you know, they get wages and benefits. They get enrolled in career planning, counseling, job search, and the necessary training that they have. The second area of under the employment and training program is our adult and I should say adult employment training program. P2P is the most familiar one, I think, to most folks. But our programs is funded jointly also with the federal and state funding to provide career pathways and to integrate basic skill education, career-specific training, provide support services for those who have multiple barriers, and, you know, most importantly, provide employment placement and retention. And so that's really the critical work under the adult program. Also, similarly, we have youth employment training program, which, you know, mostly eligibility comes from low-income families, people with, you know, young people with multiple barriers. And some of the familiar programs is, you know, Youth Build, which, you know, introduces construction pathways for young people. We also have the Minnesota Youth at Work competitive grant process and program, and the summer, you know, year-round employment opportunities for age 14 to 24. Next slide, focus, you know, I'll go over a little bit on CareerForce. We have 50 CareerForce locations, and we work in partnership with our workforce development boards and nonprofit providers. And over the last 9 months, given the constraints created by COVID, we were able to pivot a lot of our services to online. So providing virtual services, you know, resume building, counseling, and also ensuring that people who don't have access to internet have accessibility to call in, you know, via phone, providing language services for English as a second language speakers. And so we have seen a significant uptake in some of the programs with the challenge, you know, that exists as the CareerForce locations have mostly closed. And so some key programs under CareerForce is Veterans Employment Services. We provide priority services to qualified military veterans. We also have Employment Services Unit, which oversees the administration of the federal Wagner Kaiser funding. And it provides, you know, programming for all of our CareerForce services under careerforcemn.com. Let's see a few other programs. I'll just quickly highlight our job services team provides basic career services. These include, you know, the counseling, youth programs. We work with other agencies such as DHS under the MFIP program, adult services. So really integral parts as part of the basket of projects or programs that are all meant to remove barriers and provide opportunities for families and for individuals. We also have CareerForce Help Desk and Employer Services, which essentially provides, you know, people, you know, connecting employers and job seekers, so meeting supply and demand. Some of the employer services that we have is work opportunity tax credit. We have the bonding and foreign labor certification program, among other programs. So these are really two signature programs in our area that I would like to highlight. The next area I will highlight in the next slide is, sorry, I don't see, Dariel, can you move to the next slide on the, yep, thanks. Just quickly, Governor's Workforce Development Board is mandated to oversee our state plan, which under the under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. So this is the board tasked with ensuring that we submit our state plan to the federal government. And I'm very pleased to say that last year, in July, we got our state plan approved for the next 2 years. So this work under the governor's Workforce Development Board is by stakeholder, bipartisan. We have also various sectors participating: education, labor, community organizations, government, business, all of that. And so that really is a board that does a lot of work for our state. The next one, I'm just being mindful of time. Next slide is, Commissioner, you really covered this Office of Economic Opportunity. Some of you might recall this is an office that was established in 2016. Over the last 2 years, we have revamped the office so that 70% of it is external facing, highlighting, promoting the programs that DEED has, but also really soliciting ideas and feedback from communities and ensuring that our programs and processes are informed by those who are experiencing and benefiting from the programs. The other 30% is internally focused efforts, ensuring that every single program has an equity goal, and that we are implementing the feedback that we are receiving from communities. Before I turn over to my colleague, I'll just quickly mention in the grant making space, 1/3 of what we do is really we are a funder, with support from you and also from the federal government. So we want to make sure that we are continuously improving our grant making process. Over the last year and a half, we reduced the time it takes to submit, receive notification for grant decisions. We extended the time it takes for submitting applications. We have also revamped our grant management system, including grant monitoring, providing technical assistance. And then the third piece, which we are still working on, is the performance metrics, which we are looking forward to collaborating with you. So with that, I would like to turn over to my friend and colleague, Deputy Commissioner Kevin McKinnon, who oversees our economic development. Kevin?
Thank you, Hamza. Mr. Chair, members, Kevin McKinnon, Deputy Commissioner for Economic Development and Research at DEED. Glad to be here today to talk about this division. We are really composed of 4 areas. The largest from an economic development perspective, business and community development. This is the group that operates grants, loans, and tax credit programs and provides technical assistance for businesses and communities. The other area, the Minnesota Trade Office, plays an important role in our economic development efforts by providing export assistance and training for businesses to develop and increase their international customer base. And 2 other areas that won't be in the slides today, but I just wanted to mention is our Office of Broadband Development, mainly known for the border-to-border grant program. Since 2014, we've had this office at DEED to coordinate public and private efforts to increase the availability, speed, and connectivity of broadband across the state. And also our economic research area, which is mainly funded by the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics to develop, refine, and publish data on our labor market, our economy, and trends that we're seeing in the economy. So as I talk about the Business and Community Development Division, which, as I mentioned, is the largest, we have a few different units that I'll talk about. And first is the Business Development unit. We have both business development managers and workforce strategy consultants who are based regionally. So they work in and with the communities in which they live. This group helps to access resources at DEED, whether those be business resources or workforce-related resources, but also to work with the communities, the partners, the many organizations that help not only with economic development, but are critical partners in economic development across the state. Also within this group is our Minnesota Job Skills Partnership program, which pairs businesses and higher education institutions, and we provide grants to create and implement business-specific training programs for incumbent and new hires. The second unit that I'd like to talk about is our business finance group. This group is the one that provides the grants, loans, and tax credits. We have about 20 active programs right now. Some of the more well-known programs include the Minnesota Job Creation Fund, the Minnesota Investment Fund, which provide grants and loans to businesses that meet job creation and capital investment requirements. Our Emerging Entrepreneur Program, which provides loans to targeted small businesses across the state, and our Angel Tax Credit Program, which provides a 25% tax credit to investors in small technology businesses. We also, just last year, created a new initiative called Launch Minnesota. And this is, we started in the last biennium basically to catalyze our statewide technology entrepreneurial ecosystem. It's really rooted in providing the education and connections needed to advance a business today. And as such, we've employed organizations all across the state to create hubs and networks so that regardless of where you're located, you have access to what you need to be successful. And as a result, our education grants have helped create 6 hubs and more than 60 network partners and trained over 400 in lean startup training just in the past year. Sticking on the small business theme, we have 2 other small offices that provide information and assistance to entrepreneurs and small businesses. First, our Small Business Assistance Office provides information and guidebooks, serves roughly about 35,000 people a year through transactional advice via phone or email. We also run the Small Business Administration's Small Business Development Center program. We have 9 regional centers all across the state that provide technical assistance to businesses, basically free consulting to startups, emerging companies, and growing small businesses. This unit also provides a variety of competitive grant programs, which we provide to nonprofits to serve targeted populations with business development assistance. This is the group that would work with increasing the quality and the quantity of our childcare across the state. So this small group does quite a lot of outreach and work with a variety of partners all across the state through various appropriations that we receive. The next unit is our community finance area. We know that to attract and keep businesses, jobs, and people, communities need many things, and sound housing, commercial and industrial space, water treatment, solid infrastructure, etc. And to make these more affordable, we provide financial assistance programs to communities for statewide projects to better position them for growth. Mainly through the bonding bills, we provide funding for infrastructure projects that support business growth, such as water and sewer lines and transportation roads. These funds really help assist the communities with the cost of infrastructure. We also have programs that work to clean up land and buildings that help rehabilitate commercial property and housing for low-income individuals across the state. And we also deal with a lot of special appropriations, again, many from the bonding bill, to work with communities on their local projects and much larger projects as well, like Destination Medical Center and the Regional Medical Exchange in Duluth. The Minnesota Trade Office is also part of our Economic Development Division, and it has been and remains a critical part of our economic development strategy, promoting stability and growth, essentially through exports and working to attract investment. The MTO provides a broad range of programs and services. It sponsors and coordinates trade missions and other outreach to foreign countries to showcase Minnesota and our businesses. And importantly, we provide group sessions or one-on-one counseling and assistance in accessing markets for our businesses, and along with some financial programs to help make those connections. We also have partners all across the globe that work for our Minnesota businesses to identify opportunities for them to export, but also work with us to identify opportunities for investment here in Minnesota. So I know that was a quick overview of the Economic Development Division, but thank you for the time here today, Mr. Chair, and I'll pass it to my colleague, Blake Chafee, the Deputy of Workforce Services.
Good afternoon, Chair, committee members. My name is Blake Chafee, Deputy Commissioner of Workforce Services. Workforce Services Division is comprised of 4 programs: unemployment insurance, vocational rehabilitation services, state services for the blind, and disability determination services. The first program we'll run through, and we'll try to give you a high level, go through this relatively quickly. VRS provides a number of different services for Minnesotans with disabilities. First and foremost, our basic VR program, which helps folks with disabilities, Minnesotans with disabilities, explore employment choices, advance their careers through counseling and training. We also do pre-employment and training services for youth and for students. Next program you see on that list is extended employment. That is more of a support for long-term employment support. We do that work in partnership with about 28 community providers. The Centers for Independent Living, DEED provides both state and federal funds to the Centers for Independent Living, and they help Minnesotans with disabilities really live, function at home, at work, in their communities independently. Next on the list, IPS, individual placement and supports. IPS assists folks that have serious mental illness to obtain steady employment in an integrated setting, and the program provides a wide array of support for those folks. Finally, deaf-blind, hard of hearing. These are grants to community partners who provide also provide long-term employment support to persons who are deaf-blind, and hard of hearing. One other thing I would just like to share quickly about VR within the basic program, we provide services in 4 categories. Category 1 being reserved for Minnesotans with the most significant complex disabilities. As many of you know, the VR program has had categories 2, 3, and 4 closed since 2014. Really happy to share today that as of December, so just at the end of last year, we were actually able to open up categories 2 and 3 to clear those wait lists, and we actually expect to serve an additional 2,000 up to 2,400 people with disabilities within the program. The next kind of division within Workforce Services is state services for the blind. So we assist Minnesotans who are blind, deaf-blind, losing vision, or have a disability that makes it difficult to read print. SSB is made up of kind of 3 main programs: workforce development, senior services, and our communications center. The workforce development team has kind of 2 main components. First, Voc Rehab. They work directly with individuals, skills, training, providing assistive technology to make sure that those customers can be part of the workforce. We have employment specialists and assistive technology specialists that also work with businesses to help recruit, retain employees, and also to work with employers on accommodations. The other half of the workforce development group is our business enterprise program. So we provide vending businesses opportunities for blind and visually impaired, deaf-blind entrepreneurs. You all, I think, are very familiar. We have vending businesses located in state and federal buildings, actually 159 across the state. And right now we have 28 entrepreneurs, which generate about $5.7 million in annual sales. The senior services unit works directly with customers, kind of working through the challenge of vision loss, a wide range of services. So anything from helping folks kind of navigate their home, managing household activities, learning to use a white cane, navigating technology into more complex independent skills. Work that we're incredibly proud of and is really important. The last program on that list is the Communications Center. So we provide access to information, newspapers, books, magazines through Braille, audiobooks, podcasts, and in large print as well. We actually provide Braille school materials for K through 12 students, for higher ed students at Minnesota higher ed institutions. We also operate the radio talking book, which broadcasts a number of things, books, magazines, daily news, daily newspapers. Just kind of a fun fact, the talking book started in 1969 here in the state, and it was the first of its kind service across the country and actually across the world. So important part of what we do. And something that we're really incredibly proud to have at State Services for the Blind. Next on the list, and you're going to hear some more from the commissioner on this very soon, unemployment insurance. It has been, this year is unprecedented in a lot of fashions, but kind of at its simplest state, UI is an eligibility-based program, pays eligible workers up to 50% of their wage, up to the maximum. Weekly maximum, which I believe is $740 for up to 26 weeks. We also work really closely with Commissioner Warfa's team, the CareerForce team, to make sure that workers that have lost their job are able to kind of re-enter the workforce and find that next opportunity as quickly as possible. The UI program, Minnesota's program, regularly ranks in the top 4 or 5 states on all of the federal performance metrics. And I think that we're incredibly lucky to have, I think, one of the best, if not the best, unemployment insurance teams in the country. Commissioner is going to share a lot more about this, but just some context, we've spent $9.6 billion here since the start of the pandemic, and compared to $808 million last year. So it just gives you a little bit of an idea. Finally, on that slide, or at least the first slide, not represented here, is Disability Determination Services. It's a federal program funded 100% by the Social Security Administration. As the name would suggest, we do adjudicate determinations for Social Security disability. We do about 45 to 50,000 of those determinations a year. Happy to have the opportunity to share a little bit about our team. I'll turn it over to my colleague, Evan Rowe.
Thank you, Blake. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Evan Rowe. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Operations at DEED, and I just have one slide to show you all. My team leads the operational functions across DEED, really anything touching administration. So that's Commissioner's Office, Communications, our Office of Diversity and Equal Opportunity, Office of the General Counsel, Administrative and Financial Services, Human Resources, Performance and Technical Management, and we manage the relationship with our statewide partners at Minute Services. So really, our team is all about delivering operational excellence for our external customers and for our internal customers. Great to be here. Look forward to working with you all very much. And with that, I'll just turn it over to Commissioner Grove.
Great. Thanks, Evan. Thanks, team. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thanks for hearing what a diverse and expansive division it is that we look after for Minnesota. I think there's more on the agenda for today from DEED, but we'll probably pause there, Mr. Chair, for specific questions on DEED and how we work.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for your team. We can take a couple of questions. Senator Draheim, you've had your hand up for quite a while.
Thank you, Chair Pratt, and thank you, Commissioner, and the rest of your staff. I know you have your hands full right now, but I just wanted to comment on the U.S. labor report that came out right before Thanksgiving, and I think that's where you were quoting that, we're ranked really good for the businesses that are 5 years old and older, but we're also, 48th in the country for barriers to start a new business. And if we look at the demographics of the existing businesses out there, a lot of them have been around for quite a while. And I think we have a lot of work to do to make it easier for people to start businesses. And I hope this year we can focus on that. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that. And I don't want to take a lot of Chair Pratt's time here, but if you could just expand on that.
Commissioner Grove.
Mr. Chair, Senator Graham, it's a great point. And you're right that we have a state in which people who start businesses tend to make them succeed. And where we maybe fall on the other end of the spectrum is there's less risk-seeking attitude in Minnesota for starting a new business. And one of the reasons we think that is there's just so much opportunity to get a good job in a whole variety of industries as an employee that kind of, go start something attitude is maybe something we need to work more on. Now, we'll talk a lot about that in the coming months. And I think it's particularly important now because recessions are periods of time in which new businesses do get started. And I can tell you that already we're seeing new business starts at 60% higher at the tail end of 2020 than they were at the tail end of 2019. So that is the fact here in Minnesota that people are starting new companies given the recession, but we want to make sure that they're successful. And so you look at programs like our small business development centers and what they do across the state, or Launch Minnesota, or the Angel Tax Credit, whole host of other things. We got to make it easier, better, more attractive to start a business here and to make it succeed. So it's a great point. And, all the net new jobs in recession recoveries come really from new small businesses that get started. That's what the data shows us. So it's got to be a priority for ours this session. And looking forward to working with you on that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, Senator Rarick, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, just two real quick questions for you based around UI. We know back in around August, the balance hit zero and we started borrowing money from the federal government. Have we turned a corner? Are we starting to build into that, or are we still going negative at this point? And if so, do we envision when we might start seeing that fund start to replenish?
Commissioner Grove, I'll give it to you, but I think we're going to be talking about that here in just a couple of seconds, Senator Rarick.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Senator, we will go into a deeper dive here, but it is an important question. We are still borrowing. So many other states are, and there's a pathway out of that we can walk through in more detail. But we are at this point paying out about 380,000 claims a week on unemployment insurance. So it's still a very robust number of Minnesotans who are on the program.
Okay. Seeing no more hands, Commissioner, on that segue, why don't we jump into unemployment insurance?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Presentation when you're ready.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. We'll bring some slides back up here. I'm glad that you've asked us to go deeper into UI because it is really one of the most important programs that our department has run over the last year. And, as we walk into some of the statistics around it, you'll see it has been stretched to the likes of which an unemployment insurance program in our state has never been stretched before. Just kind of quickly by the numbers, you heard Deputy Commissioner Chafee a moment ago say that we've spent over $9.5 billion on UI this year. That's 23 million payments to Minnesotans. We used to send out paper checks, back before direct deposit. And we calculated that if we were sending out paper checks and you stretched them all out together, it'd be about 3,000 miles worth of checks that have been sent out to over 810,000 Minnesotans. The lion's share of which never expected in a million years that they'd be on unemployment insurance last year. So this has been a really critical social safety net to keep food on the table, keep gas in the pipes for Minnesotans across the state. 90% of these individuals were paid within a few days of applying. And we've seen almost all issues resolved very quickly. We're very fortunate to have a strong and effective and efficient program in our department. Just to break it down further by program type, 9.8 billion or 9.5 billion is a lot of money. Important to know that a lot of that is federal money. So that first line, regular unemployment insurance, that's the amount that we have paid from state coffers, and I shouldn't say state coffers, from the UI Trust Fund. All those other programs below it are programs that have come from the federal government in terms of other programs that they have passed. So it's important to just note how much the federal government's involvement in UI has been critical for states across the country to get money into the hands of Minnesotans. And then just to give you a perspective, compared to other recessions, this really is unprecedented. That spike there, it was roughly around the month of April, shows you just how extraordinary the flood of applications was into our system when this pandemic hit. And while we are now on levels that more accurately sort of mirror the contours of previous recessions, this recession had that enormous bump that really changed the game for Minnesotans across the state. And so, of course, we had to make some changes to the program to make sure we could actually deliver on these statutes and on the benefits that Minnesotans need to make life and ends meet. So we have in the last year, in partnership with the legislature, the governor has made sure that benefits are available during the waiting week. There's usually a 1 week period after you lose your job where you just don't get UI benefits. We've made it possible to get benefits during that week. In partnership with all of you, we've suspended a lot of eligibility requirements because, this program, even though it's 85 years old, it never anticipated a global pandemic being, a forcing function for expansion. And so the eligibility around COVID needed a lot of work to make sure we made more folks eligible for the payments. We made changes to the shared work program in concert with the legislature. This is a program that ensures that that employers can, rather than lay a bunch of people off, can kind of reduce hours for a bunch of folks at one time, and therefore kind of make up the gap in that payment from unemployment insurance. So we've made that a lot easier for employers in ways that that we can go into more detail if you're interested. And then the federal programs that we put into play are, of course, significant. The original $600 top off, the expansion of UI to independent contractors and gig workers, something that many of your constituents were grateful for and had lots of questions about. That, of course, came from the federal government. And then there was a program kind of late last year through FEMA called the Lost Wages Assistance Program, which pulled money from FEMA's disaster relief funds into state programs that gave an additional, if I recall, around 5 weeks of unemployment insurance from the federal government. So, and top offs from them. So a lot of program implementation. And then to get that right, some customer service changes we made to make sure we could actually deliver on that, on those programs. So we've redeployed dozens of staff from within Deed. We call people who used to work at Deed and ask them to come back in and join the team again, just to answer calls. And many of you have highlighted, call center waiting times and challenges there as one of the issues. When you look at those numbers, you can imagine why those were issues. We tried to be as nimble as we could to bring more folks in quickly, hired and trained over 60 new staff. At the same time, moved that workforce home, which was a huge undertaking because of the security concerns and just logistical concerns around it. But it was critical to make sure that our own team was safe so they could administer these benefits for Minnesotans. Thousands of hours of overtime. I can tell you, just even most recently, that unemployment insurance team worked every single day of the holidays. I'm talking Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, to implement those new federal programs that came in. This is a tireless group of individuals that has put in just untold number of hours to get these benefits out. And then we've developed a lot of new processes to determine, to prevent fraud. This is always a major concern on unemployment insurance programs, even in good times, right? Because it's an eligibility program. It's this giant, federal benefit that states administer. But we've had to get smarter about preventing fraud and develop new processes there. We've used different data partnerships and detection schemes that have really helped us make sure we get that right. Senator Eric asked about the trust fund, and yes, the trust fund has taken a severe hit this year, and you can see the trend line there comparing 2020 to other previous years. It's been a pretty precipitous draw from our state's trust fund. And while right now I can tell you that the federal government has held us harmless in terms of interest payments on that trust fund, that's something that we're going to need to continue to work on in the future so that remains a long-term possibility. Just to give you kind of the history of this, we started this whole pandemic with about $1.5 billion in our system. That was around March 14th. We were considered solvent by the standards of the Department of Labor. And when we drew down the money to around 21 million left in July, we talked to Senator Pratt and Senator Champion, of course, the governor and many others on the right approach here. And I think obviously pulling down money from the federal government was critical. We went negative that next week, and we're now down to about $980 million of debt in our program. The previous low point we've ever had was back in 2011. We were $771 million in debt. But this is how the system works. There was not a pretty seamless shift to that federal funding. We will see what the Biden administration and Congress decides to do on this topic. Since so many states are in this place, we are hopeful that the federal government will continue to waive interest and perhaps do something to forgive some of that debt. And again, here's a number of states who are in the same position as Minnesota as it relates to these benefits. But we shall see. Regardless, it's going to take a while to dig out of that trust fund hole. And we're going to be careful and work very closely with employers and with this committee and others in the UIAC, our advisory committee there, to get that right. We are pretty clearly guided by federal and state statute about how to get out of the trust fund hole in terms of experience ratings and base rates. We can get into some of the tax details if it's interesting to you all, but there's a roadmap for this because, of course, it happens when recessions hit. In terms of the stimulus package, this was signed into law, as you all know, on the 27th. It extended several of the benefits from 2020, 11 more weeks of that extended unemployment insurance, 11 more weeks of unemployment insurance for independent contractors and gig workers. And then the top off went from 600 to 300, but that was an important shift as well. All of these programs really a critical extension. And, I'll say that was really pleased to be working with both the Senate and the House in December on passing a state program that would cover us all if the federal government did not act. Thankfully, they did. And so very little of that state program will need to be engaged in at all, thanks to the move on this stimulus package. A lot more details coming through on the stimulus package. I will tell you, last week and the first week it was up, we transferred about 240,000 Minnesotans into these new benefits. We paid out about $164 million just in that first week. Many states haven't even gotten off the ground yet. So we feel some sympathy for them, but we're glad that we're up and running. But there's still guidelines coming in on these programs. And so the Department of Labor continues to send us guidance on some of the specifics on the policy. So we're implementing that as we go, but we're not going to wait to pay Minnesotans because people need the money. And as you all know, it's the dead of winter. This is usually a tough time anyway for employment in cold weather states like ours. So moving quickly and getting this right is really important. And so just kind of looking at some of the other stats around this, breaking it down by program type, we've paid out about $43.8 million in that PUA benefit so far, 43.2 in those standard benefits, and then about 76.8 in pandemic unemployment compensation, along with that $300 top off. So this is an incredibly important program for our state, for our workers. It has helped us weather some very difficult times as a state. Again, we are honored to have a team led by Director Jim Hegman, who runs just a really, really effective and efficient program. And we're thankful to all of you for continuing to raise issues along the way that matter for UI, to debate the way forward and discuss the way forward for making this work. And even just those individual constituent issues you raised to us, they're important. While we can talk about how well the program is done, if any last Minnesotan didn't get their benefits and they deserve them, then we've messed up. And so our commitment is to really focus on the customer. Again, every last Minnesotan who deserves these benefits will get them, and that's our commitment on this program. So that's an overall summary of where we're at with UI, Mr. Chair, and would be happy to pause here for any questions that the committee might have. Senator Pratt, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. Senator Draheim, you had your hand up first.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Commissioner. I know you guys were way overwhelmed with this program, and I thank you for your work on that. $164 million the first week is a lot of money, and I know from one of my businesses, I saw a letter come about my unemployment insurance that they wouldn't be able to set a rate yet. Do you have a timeline on what you think rates will be for business owners like myself? And then I have a couple follow-ups to that.
Commissioner Grove.
Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, it's a great point. And I think the thing that you're referring to is the experience rating that any given employer has that essentially designates the tax amount that they owe based on their own history of hiring and firing, et cetera. And we paused that via an executive order back in December because we needed some more time to analyze the data. I can tell you, and Senator Pratt and I have discussed this, and I know we'll discuss it further, and Senator Champion and others, that given what a year we've had, it's sort of hard to use an experience rating based on a pandemic year. And so I think there's probably some solutions here that don't involve the kind of detailed analysis that you would usually do to determine those experience ratings. So we'll circle back with the committee on that in the future, but it is our goal to move quickly on that this session, and I think we'll need this committee's help. because in many ways it's an impossible administrative task to determine any given employer's sort of level of fault in a given year for unemployment when the pandemic shrouded every single component of hiring and firing in the state. But I think that's a discussion we're looking forward to having with the chair and others in the coming days and weeks. I'm glad you flag it here.
Okay, thank you. Chair, if I could, I had a couple of quick follow-ups.
Go ahead, Senator Draheim.
Thank you. And my recommendation on that, Commissioner Grove, would be to just skip 2020 and go back to 2019 rates and move forward from there. But are you looking at maybe recommending that the people that did or were able to collect from this, maybe that they should start paying in moving forward? Has there been any talk about that with your department?
Well, Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, yeah, the unemployment insurance tax system continues as always. It's just that it's not generating enough revenue to pay people and keep the trust fund solvent. So if I understand your question correctly, it's not as if we've paused payments for any employer in the state right now. We've simply extended the benefits far beyond what the trust fund can solve. Is that what you're asking?
No, my question was the people collecting some of the unemployment insurance that didn't pay into the fund. You know, are we going to go and change? Are you looking at changing that so we'll collect in the future from these people that wanted to collect?
So, Senator Draheim, are you talking about the self-insured and gig workers through the federal program? Or are you talking about the not self-insured, self-employed? Or are you talking about the self-insured reimbursable employers?
I think a little bit of everything. I'm just wondering if there was any discussion on the people that are exempt from paying in, having to pay in the future.
Mr. Chair, Senator Draheim, yeah, it's. I think I understand the direction of your question. So just to back up for a second, you know, the way the trust fund works is that it is funded through tax-paying employers who pay a tax in every paycheck into the system, as you know. There's a separate class of employers in the state. These are schools, hospitals, nonprofits, churches, things like that are on a program called the Reimbursing Employer Program, where they kind of pay as they go, to Senator Pratt's point on reimbursing employers. So they pay an amount of unemployment insurance to their employees based on individual employees' experience of being unemployed. You can imagine those bills are astronomical given the fact that so many people were suddenly unemployed by this pandemic. And so the federal government has forgiven a lot of that money. And we're doing an analysis right now based on state statute of what states should forgive there. So on that front, we're all bearing a cost of this, but it just works differently for different types of employers. On the individual employee who may have been on unemployment insurance, you're right, there are some who never would have gotten it, usually because they're independent contractors or they're gig workers. But the federal government is footing that bill. So we're just a pass-through. We're getting that money, we're putting it in the pockets of those workers, and we're not on the hook in any sense for that money. That doesn't accrue into our trust fund debt or anything like that. We're just enacting that federal government benefit through deed. So an important question.
So if you could keep me in the loop on that, what your discussions are about those groups that weren't included in that. And then the last question was, you talked about the fraud prevention that you guys worked on, which I think is wonderful. Do you have any numbers on how many people that you helped stop from committing fraud on collecting through these programs?
Mr. Senator Draheim, we don't. And fraud is one of those things where we like to fight it in the dark corners of the agency and leave it there, because the more you talk about fraud, the more ideas people get, if you will, about how to engage in it. And so I can tell you there's always fraud in UI, and there's always a percentage of accounts that aren't deployed right. Our department has won national awards for having one of the best fraud prevention rates in the country. So it is a high priority for us. But it has not been an issue that has overwhelmed the system this recession, thank God.
Sir Rarick, you had a question next.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner, just real quick, Representative Noor and I worked during this off session around the 16 and 17-year-olds being eligible. and changing a law from 1939. And, a court case came out basically saying it was age discrimination. And is the agency going to be working with us, or are you going to support making that change permanent this year? Or is that something you want to wait a little while on?
Mr. Chair, Senator Eric, it's a great point. And while we haven't released our budget for this session, I can tell you the governor and lieutenant governor are strongly in favor of extending those benefits to young people. I want to take a moment just to thank you for your work on that issue. Both you and Representative Knorr were real leaders in this space. And that's critical for Minnesota's young people who, for this antiquated law, like you say, 1939, are prevented from getting the same benefits that their employers pay into, and that they're in a system that they're a part of. There's no reason that your age should discriminate whether or not you get unemployment insurance. And as you well know, because you were a leader in this charge, many of those young people are supporting their families. This isn't just spending cash for summer jobs. This is money that puts food on the table for those families. So we were glad to see the court's decision, which gave us that lane to make these payments. Our team is working very hard right now on getting those payments out. We have, I think, gone through almost every application at this point and are moving forward on it. But we shouldn't have to have courts tell us this. The legislature should come together under your leadership and others to pass legislation that just gets rid of this antiquated law and helps young people be on the same level playing field as their adult counterparts.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more questions. Commissioner, we have about 10 minutes to kind of review the grant program. Welcome Commissioner Doty to the committee. And I'll let you guys, Commissioner Doty, if you could just introduce yourself for the record, and then I'll let the two commissioners begin their presentation when they're ready.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I guess my camera's not working, but Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Robert Doty, and I am the commissioner for the Minnesota Department of Revenue. And I guess I will be following Commissioner Grove and kind of help respond to questions about our part of the benefits program here. So, benefit relief program. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Well, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and welcome Commissioner Doty, eager to dive through this. I think just before we begin in some of the details here, pretty extraordinary thing that this body did to pass this relief package. And just want to thank all of you senators for voting for it, for moving quickly. This was a relief that was desperately needed. A pretty unprecedented package size too, at $216 million that really, I think, is already going to make a difference for so many Minnesota businesses. So let's walk through some of the details on the package, and then we'd love to hear your questions about it. You know it well because you've been a part of it. Backing up, sort of just to give some context before talking about the most recent relief package, it wasn't the first time, of course, that we've engaged in relief for small businesses in our state. Back in the last session, we passed a small business emergency loan program that put $30 million into the market for 50% forgivable loans that help businesses that were impacted by executive orders. That money went across the state for small businesses. We also put forward a small business loan guarantee program that really brought banks into the system, making those loans for the banks up to 80%, such that they were incentivized to do more lending, and that loan amount could be a little higher, up to $200,000 per loan. That made a big difference. And then coming out of some of that CARES Act money in the initial allocation, we put together a $72.5 million package that helped businesses across the state through just direct grants. At this point, it was like, look, nobody wants a loan. They just want grants. How quickly can we get money out to folks through a small business relief grant program? And that program, had some targeted communities and business types in it, smaller businesses, women-owned, veteran-owned, and BIPOC-owned businesses. There was a section for cultural malls that went a long way. A really important aid program that we partnered with CDFIs and other lenders across the state and communities to get money out to individual businesses in the state in grant amounts of $10,000. So it was just a consistent amount for all those businesses, with the cultural mall component being slightly different. But the $10,000 amount was the core premise of that program. And so those were sort of the first 3 programs that we engage with alongside all of you. And then from there, of course, the package I spoke about just a moment ago of December, which we're still obviously in the process of administering, the 3 main components that that senators and legislators and the governor agreed upon were some relief payments directly from the Department of Revenue. I'll just leave it to Commissioner Doty in a moment to walk through that. And then a program focused on movie theaters and convention centers that DEED is leading on. And then lastly, a program focused on county payments. So this just gives you the overview and a snapshot, but we'll do a deep dive on each here now to give you a better sense. And I think for that, I'll first turn it over to Commissioner Doty for those payments from the Department of Revenue.
Commissioner Doty, you're on mute.
I'm going to get this here. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, it is my pleasure to speak to you a little bit about the work we did on this business relief program. Was a lot of work, but I'm really pleased at where we are with this and what we've been able to do. So in the first, there were 3, as Commissioner Grove mentioned, there are 3 buckets of payments coming out. Ours is the first bucket, and ours is direct payments. The other 2 are more grant programs, or set up as grant programs, but ours were direct payments. And in the door bucket, we were working with NICS codes that were for restaurants, bars, gyms, and bowling. We call it bowling centers, but it was bowling alleys. And we were able to notify all of the businesses that were part of that first bucket by December 31st, 2020. And that notification was really to let them know that you were part of this NICS, the group of NICS codes, you were part of this pool, and that you should be receiving a check fairly soon. And at that point, businesses did not need to do anything at all to receive the check, other than we were verifying addresses. So and we did this all through our e-services component. So if we had the wrong address or whatever, they were able to correct that and make sure we were able to send the check to the right place. Next slide, please. Checks, I'm happy to say and proud to say that checks went out late Monday, and the first kind of round of checks, we sent out 3,893 unique checks for about $67,320,000. My assumption is that businesses should start to receive those checks in the mail, hopefully by the end of this week or into the weekend, depending on, as you see, by the speed of the post office. Unfortunately, we were unable to do any direct deposits because that would have required getting a lot of banking information that we currently just did not have. So one of the essence of the first bucket of distribution was about speed and making sure that we could get these out as quickly as we could. So the checks were actually mailed out. Next slide. And one of the things that we have been working on, and we will open this up by the 19th, is making sure that we have set up kind of an inquiry process for businesses. There are a number of businesses who have already contacted us because they know they didn't see anything on their e-services account or whatever that they would receive a check. But if a business has a question about why I didn't receive a check or I thought I should or whatever, we've set up a process where we can go through those and kind of, in a sense, audit through those. And we are expecting that there are definitely businesses that we still will need to probably give checks out to, but we're going to go through those kind of point by point, if you will. And then, as I said, as we do that investigation, then we will then kind of we will send out further batches of these checks depending on how many we have going forward. And I think that might be my last slide. Yep.
Great. Well, thanks, Robert. I'll go briefly into the two other grant programs here that DEED is running, which are focused on movie theaters and convention centers. And the reason for housing these within state government is simply that they were turnkey enough and similar enough that we feel like the state could play a reasonable role at administering money to these two business types for which have been devastated by the pandemic, and then leave the rest to counties, which we're really excited about. So movie theaters, again, pretty formulaic here. The program made sure that we just sent out money by the number of screens. You had to have at least $15,000 in ticket sales in 2019 and see a 30% revenue drop or more measured by 2019 compared to 2020. And you have to have a physical location in the state of Minnesota. Notably, the money that we send to these movie theaters has to be spent on the ground in Minnesota. It should not be spent on any other theater in any other state. Obviously, there's national chains that exist in Minnesota. They're businesses too. They also employ Minnesotans, but the goal here is to help those businesses succeed and not businesses in Hollywood or New York or wherever. So the program gives up to $150,000 max grant, again, based on a per screen allocation. And it opened on January 5th. Deadline will be January 29th. And then similarly, convention centers are under our grant purview. And this is really focused on these larger kind of regional convention centers where they're standalone convention centers. You know them well. It's the DEC, it's the Minneapolis Convention Center, and so on. These are critical economic drivers for the ecosystem in which they're in. Of course, any convention that happens brings business all around the convention center with restaurants and hotels and what have you. This grant program ensures that those bigger convention centers stay solvent. We're looking at convention centers that are 1,500 or more people. And again, 30% revenue drop year over year. Have to have a physical location here, of course, and be clear on the tax front. But that grant program is running on the same timeline as movie theaters, January 5th through the 29th. There's around 10 or so, we think, convention centers that meet those criteria up top. And so there's been some questions around, hey, am I a convention center or not if I'm a large venue space? There's some details in the statutes that we all built together that make it clear what is and isn't a convention center. And those that don't qualify can apply for the county bucket of funding. And this bucket of funding, we all built together to really be the largest bucket of funding, about $115 million, located or distributed to counties on a per capita basis with a floor. So the smaller counties get a sort of guaranteed amount. And there's a lot of flexibility here. Counties can do what they choose as they construct these programs. They can give money to organizations who've gotten payments through the Department of Revenue. They can target it at certain industries. They can do kind of what they please in terms of targeting. There's some guidelines, but they're meant to be really limited. You have to be affected by Executive Order 2099, but not necessarily directly shut down. You can be kind of indirectly affected as well, and that's an important component of this. Grants must be awarded under this program by March 15th. Funds have to be out the door by April 1st. So there is a timeline here. Again, speed is really important in these situations. And any business that gets a county grant has to be located in Minnesota. So those are some of the grant programs that we're moving forward on for business. I'll just return just quickly to some of the themes. I won't go through them all again, but just so you know, as we think about all that we're going to do together ahead and in this recession recovery, these are some of the things that'll be on our minds as we engage with all of you. And just grateful for the fast action to pull some of these programs together. And Mr. Chair, with that, I know we're almost at time, but we'll turn it to you for any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Grove and Commissioner Doty. Senator Draham, you had a question.
Yeah, thank you guys for all the work you did on this program. But I just want to read you a part of an email. I've got multiple like this, but I'm writing you in regards to the state small business COVID relief package that was approved in December. I'm trying to find out exactly why, I'm not going to name their place, received nothing. Because our main business is weddings, our income has dropped pretty much to nothing. Yet we still need to maintain our utilities, pay our monthly bills. Our present time average monthly expense without opening our doors is $6,000 a month. I have sent email requests to the state, but I get no response. I need answers on how businesses were selected to receive the relief money. And then that's all I'll read of it. But this isn't, I have a business just like this person on a bigger scale, and I feel their pain, and I call them and talk to them. But, you know, you talk about those big MSA convention centers, because they're only in the MSA areas, the metropolitan area, Mankato, Rochester, Duluth, etc. But ballrooms like this or wedding venues like this are an economic engine for their communities in outstate Minnesota. And they have been ignored time and time again throughout this whole relief programs. And you say, yes, the county will take care of them. And what I'm hearing from these convention centers and event centers and ballrooms throughout rural Minnesota is, yes, they will get a check from the county, but it'll be the same check that a food truck gets. And you know, their overhead is a heck of a lot more than a small restaurant or a food truck or a small shop on Main Street. And they feel left out, and they want to know why. So can you tell me, Commissioner, why this industry has been totally shut down for 6 months, totally shut down, limited on attendance another 4 months, why they have not received any direct help from the state?
Mr. Chair, Senator Graham, I sympathize with that business and the thousands of others across our state that have suffered mightily due to the virus of COVID-19. We will administer these programs as a legislation that the Senate and the House passed and administer the funds accordingly. We can't change that statute or shift it for any individual business. It's the negotiated package that your committee, that your leadership, and that the House leadership, and that the governor all signed together. So I will just say that the county bucket is the biggest bucket for a reason. It's that we think that local knowledge, that local control over the businesses most critical to that area's economy was critical, and that the state is not going to figure out the best distribution of those funds at the county level nearly as much as county commissioners and leaders could. But I hear the frustration in your voice. I hear that frustration in the voice of businesses across the state, and it's valid frustration. This is an incredibly devastating time, and there's so many things about this pandemic, and certainly about programs or assistance that don't seem fair and that are not fair. Nothing about this past year has been fair, and I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that to wash away the concern. But we're dealing with an unprecedented challenge and using the best tools you've given us to get money to these businesses. And as always, if there's a business you'd like us to talk with directly that is coming into you with concerns, please reach out. We only get better with every business that we talk to. So happy to talk personally with that business or others if it would help. But I hear you. This is tough. And the carve-out stuff creates sort of have and have not feeling, even when there are other avenues for funding. So I appreciate you raising that story.
So if I could follow up on that, Chair Pratt, real quick.
Senator Graham, briefly.
The small counties are not getting a lot of money. And, you know, what one theater chain will get is more than my home county will get, just for reference. So the small counties of rural Minnesota are being left behind. And for them, when we look at how hard it is to start a business, it's really hard in those small towns. And most everything is designed for the bigger communities, and our smaller communities are being left behind. But I know we're out of time. I appreciate your work. I know you've done a lot. Both commissioners have done a lot of work. I appreciate it. But we have to think of the industries that we've left behind. So thank you.
And Senator Graham, I think to that point, we worked very, very hard to make sure that every county, regardless of their size, ended up with at least $250,000, which is more than an individual theater would receive. One comment, and this has been coming to me, is how the counties are implementing the program. We intentionally gave them some latitude because they do know their businesses, but I've been frustrated when I hear about Ramsey County not focusing on Executive Order 2099, but picking up applications from previous business programs and moving forward, making sure that they're looking at the impact, how the impact of business is taken on versus vis-a-vis 2099 versus the food trucks. Those are all things that we have been very clear along the way. in our communications. And I would say Commissioner Doty, Commissioner Grove, myself, the House leadership have all been working with the counties to make sure that that message gets out. So do we have any other, we're a little over time. Any other questions for the Commissioner? Senator Champion, any thoughts on the questions that have been asked?
Yeah, just only that I've also been working with our counties as well to really make sure that they think about other businesses that have come back to me as well, to say that they wish they were a part of the county's criteria. But again, as you so eloquently articulated, we wanted to give the counties a latitude because they know their counties best. And so with that being said, we hope that those counties would adhere to that and do all that they can in order to make sure that every needed business that needs support gets it. Although I would also say that there's just not enough money to go around. We wish that we had more money, and that's something that we talked about. But I just wanted to make that comment. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no more questions, we'll do additional follow-up on unemployment insurance as we start digging into the session. Commissioner Grove, Commissioner Doty, and your teams, thank you for being part of today's hearing. We do appreciate it. If there's no other business to come before the committee, we will stand adjourned. Our next committee hearing will be on Wednesday, January 20th, and a meeting notice will be sent to your inboxes. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.